Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We are from group 3 and we will present about land uses and soil contamination. For introduction, firstly, a background of study. The chain reactions occurs as a result of soil contamination. This will affect soil biodiversity. It will lower soil organic matter and diminish soil filtering ability. It also contaminates water stored in soil and groundwater, as well as causing nutritional imbalances in the soil. Soil contamination is one of the 10 biggest risks to global soils, according to the Status of World Soil Resources report issued in 2015 and the Voluntary Guidelines on Sustainable Soil Management. Crops, cattle, fisheries, and soil and water management are all part of the agricultural sector, which is both a carrier and a producer of worldwide soil pollution. Lastly, the theory of soil pollution is it defined as the presence of a chemical or material that is out of place or present in higher than normal amount in the soil and has negative effects on any creature not specifically targeted. Now we move to the problem statement. So the first one is the effect of soil contaminations toward human health. Usually there are contaminants that are contained in the contaminated soil and they can enter the human body through a variety of routes, including the mouth, nerve, and skin. The short-term effect of exposure to the soil contamination is headache, coughing, chest discomfort, nausea, and skin or eye irritation. But for the long-term effect is it can cause central nervous system depression and damage to essential organs such as the liver. Next, we move to the effect of contaminated soil to the underground water. The contamination of the underground water is also the effect of soil contamination because the water is underground is held under the soil layer. The contaminants that pollute the soil might readily seep into the water over time. We must also keep in mind that this underground water may be obtained from wells and tube wells for consumption and use. When such poisonous water is eaten or utilized over time, it has a number of negative consequences for human health. The long-term effect of it can cause diseases such as arsenic poisoning, food poisoning, and others. Last but not least, effect of soil contamination toward growth of plant. Soil contamination is frequently accompanied by a reduction in nutrient availability. This nutrient reduction make plant life unable to grow in such soils, and the plants can be poisoned by soils polluted with inorganic aluminium. Furthermore, this form of pollution frequently raises the salinity of the soil, making it unsuitable for plant development, thus make it harder to grow a plant, and we might face plant extinction in the future.
The significance of study are the community relies on how soil contaminations can harm health of many people. Next, the community relies on how land usage and soil contamination enhance the growth of invasive plants, and the farmers will encourage to reduce the usage of pesticides and chemical on crops. For the first significance, the community will aware that any toxic chemical that escape into the environment can kill and injure a large number of people. For the second significance, when a plant grows on polluted soil, it may absorb some of pollution into itself, which can cause enough growth abnormalities and even prevent plant growth altogether. For the third significance, pesticides are used widely to kill insects or weeds. The objective of study are to assess the knowledge, attitude, and practice of the community towards this topic, to identify the factors and effects of soil contamination, to assess awareness and perceptions of study community, and to determine the relationship between human behavior and soil contaminations. And the last one is to develop community interest towards this topic.
When does it started? It started about 1100 years ago, while other it ties to the advent of the nuclear era in 1945. But most recognized as beginning with the Industrial Revolution is in 1780s to 1830s. How does it occur? Land pollution can occur due to poor handling of hazardous materials, unintended accidents, and even acts of nature such as floods and hurricanes. Lastly, why was it created? It is caused by the presence of xenobiotic, which is human-made chemicals or other alteration in the natural soil environment.
Metal concentration in soils. Heavy metals indicates that they do accumulate in soils in some localized areas of human activities as compared to areas that have remained under virgin conditions. A knowledge of the level and distribution of heavy metals in soils can play a key role in land use planning, the designing of control strategies to achieve a better environmental quality, as well as a key to effective management of soil quality, especially in rapidly growing area. Uncontrolled inputs of heavy metals are undesirable because once accumulated in the soil, they are generally very difficult to remove and are potentially harmful. Subsequent problems may include toxicity to plants, surface and groundwater contamination, as well as dietary exposure to man and animals. Quantitative evaluation of soil quality was carried out using indices such as anthropogenic factors and pollution index. It gives a comparative idea about the quality and degree of heavy metal contamination of surface soils. Next, the use of land by human societies. Human activities, which are mainly driven by socio-economic factors, bring out changes in non-built-up and built-up land despite restrictions by physical conditions. Land use change, including land transformation from one type to another and land cover modification through land use management, has altered a large proportion of the Earth's land surface. The aim is to satisfy mankind's immediate demand from natural resources. The worldwide changes to forests, farmlands, waterways, and air are being driven by the need to provide food, fiber, water, and shelter to more than 6 billion people. Global croplands, pastures, plantations, and urban areas have expanded in recent decades. This expansion is accompanied by large increase in energy, water, and fertilizer consumption, along with considerable losses of biodiversity.
Next, methodology. There are few solutions has been designated to overcome soil contamination. For example, atomic absorption spectrometry, gas chromatography, and mass spectrometry. First, atomic absorption spectrometry detects elements either in liquid or solid sample through the application of wavelength characteristic using electromagnetic radiation from a light source. Individual elements will absorb wavelength differently, and these absorbance are measured against element standard to determine the existed elements in the contaminated soil. Next, liquid chromatography coupled to mass spectrometry. Liquid chromatography is used for separating known and unknown components in a mixture. Mass spectrometry is used to calculate the exact molecular weight of sample compounds. Individual components in a mixture are first separated, followed by ionization and separation of the ion based on their mass or charge ratio. Here, some prevention for soil contamination. First, practice of 3R, reduce, reuse, and recycle, helps to minimize plastic usage. Second, proper management of agricultural land, including practice of organic farming. Third, proper solid waste treatment. Acidic and alkaline waste can be neutralized first before releasing. Soil acts as a natural sink for accumulating the contaminants. If soil is contaminated, homegrown vegetables and fruits may become polluted too due to the water intake in order for the plant to grow. Thus, it is prudent to prevent soil pollution and test the soil before start growing anything edible, especially if your garden is located near industrial or mining area.